Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God and Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer, please stand. 高天原にかむすまります。かむろぎかむろみのみこともちて、すめみおやかむいざなぎのみこと、つくしのりむかのたち、あなのおどのありあらにみそぎ払いたもうときになりませる。洗いどのお神たち、もろもろのまがごと罪けがれを払いたま清めたまえとまおすことのよしをあまつかみくにつかみやおよろずの神たちともに雨のふちこまの耳振り立ててぎこしめせとかしこみむまおす弥勒おみかみ守りたまえ先はえたまえ弥勒おみかみ守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先はえたまえこんながらたまちがえませ。こんながらたまちがえませ。Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truths given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei. Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. Education. Real education teaches people to discern right from wrong. It teaches only the truth. Physical knowledge alone will never suffice. True education deals with spiritual matters. Let us pave the way to higher understanding. In the world today, superficial knowledge is increasing, while true wisdom is becoming more and more scarce. In a parent-child relationship abounding in mutual love, the children reflect many of the adults' characteristics through the spiritual courts. For this reason, if people expect their children to be good, they must first be good themselves. If they have not set a proper example, admonishing the young ones for bad behavior will have little or no effect. Teachers especially should realize what an important influence they exert upon their students through the spiritual courts. Founders of religions or orders, priests, and ministers all have an exceedingly strong influence on members or devotees because they are held in such reverence and are looked up to with so much respect. These individuals should be more conscientious than anyone else. The parents are like the trunk of the tree. The boughs are the children, and smaller branches are the grandchildren. Just as no branch is unaffected by the trunk, so is it impossible that the spiritual clouds and spiritual virtues of the parents should fail to influence the offspring.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning service of the Miroku Association. Today we elevated our prayers for Haiti and its people. They are experiencing turmoil and chaos with the assassination of their president. So we kept them in our prayers. And we continue to elevate our prayers and thoughts for all the victims of the COVID-19, their families and friends. Today, I would like to share this faith experience. It is from Margarida Rodrigues. She's from Santa Amaro, São Paulo, Brazil. Santa Amaro was the very center where I received my sacred focal point on April 21st, 1974. Since Margarida became a Johrei member about 12 years ago, she has always offered Johrei to her husband. He almost always refused it. And when he accepted, he made it clear that it was only for a minute. One day in May 2020, she was at home cleaning up when he asked her to channel Johrei to their daughter, who was not feeling well. Margarita was surprised and at the same time happy with his request. When she got to her room, Margarita found her daughter lying down with a terrible headache. She began the Johrei, and about 20 minutes later, her daughter no longer felt any pain. From that day on, her husband started watching with her our online morning and evening services. And right after the broadcast, He positions the chairs and waits for her to give him Johrei. Now he is in no hurry. He receives Johrei with a lot of respect and serenity. His change of attitude towards our faith makes her very happy. He has already mentioned having experienced improvements in his sleep, and she finds him calmer and more tolerant, as he used to complain a lot about things, something that bothered her a lot. Now they live with tranquility and greater unity in their family. She continues attending the online services, channeling daily Johrei to her husband and daughter, and offering monetary donations of gratitude. With this experience, she confirmed that for God and Meishu-sama, nothing is impossible. And she feels very happy and grateful to be able to channel the divine light to her family in this spirit of great worldwide purification. There was a very nice experience from Margarida Rodriguez. Today also marks the day that the pioneer minister sent by Meishu-sama, Reverend Kyoko Higuchi. Reverend Kyoko Higuchi was the very first minister that Meishu-sama sent outside of Japan in 1953. So she first was sent to Hawaii. After 2 years in Hawaii, she began expansion work in the West Coast in California. She was a wonderful minister, very inspiring, guided many, many people. And today I would like to share one of her lectures. There are many of her lectures available. This one is entitled Constructive Living, and it was shared on October 1964. Some years ago in Japan, I saw in the reader's letters to the editor column of a newspaper an article entitled "To Protect This Little Happiness of Ours." This article was written by a woman who was enjoying a humble but happy and peaceful life with her husband. They loved each other and had no special problems such as illness or debts. They were simple people, without means, earning their daily bread, and they were satisfied. The woman wrote that the happiness she and her husband had was a result of mutual love, trust, and diligent work. But no matter how peaceful their home might be, if wars were still going on, she and her husband would be unable to enjoy life. They could not be happy knowing that others were unhappy. Their happiness and well-being depended to a large extent upon peaceful and happy conditions for everyone else in the world. These are the thoughts of a simple woman, but they carry deep meaning. At that time, Nidai-sama, Meishu-sama's wife and our second spiritual leader, took this subject at this service in the sacred grounds and told us how important it is to give thought to the welfare of the world at large, to pray and work for it. Each of us is an integral part of the whole. We have no complete independence. All individuals and all nations in today's complicated world exist with the help of one another, each contributing something to everyone else. We are constantly being influenced by others and our surroundings. People speak of freedom and try to sustain and protect their freedom. However, sometimes they mistake self-indulgence and even license as freedom. What happens, for example, if a person feels he or she has a perfect right to drink as much as one likes and drives in a drunken state? Meishu-sama said, "In true freedom, we respect the rights of others. Naturally, there is a limit, a freedom within a certain boundary. This is true freedom. If we act at the expense of others, we feel guilty unpleasant, thus robbing ourselves of serenity of mind. The happiness which comes to us by making other people happy. This alone makes for true happiness. There are some people who pray to God for their own happiness and the solution of just their own problems, and some who work only for their own spiritual attainment. These attitudes are not entirely wrong, but they are not of the highest. In the initial stage of one individual's faith, it may be permissible for him or her to think like this, but if the person stops there, he or she is being self-centered. The objective of Meishu-sama's movement is to transform the world into a world of true happiness for all people, a world free from all misery. The true cause of misery and suffering is the clouds we have formed in our spiritual body and in the realm of ether around us through wrong thoughts and actions. Johrei dispels these clouds and raises the spiritual vibrations. Healing is a natural result of this purification of the spiritual body. Therefore, the true objective of Johrei is the dispelling of these clouds that envelop the soul so that it can awaken. Then the divine nature within us begins to unfold itself, and all our good traits gradually come to the fore. As long as the primary spirit is dulled by clouds, the secondary spirit remains active and may easily lead us astray. We are all imperfect and make mistakes. The world is full of mistakes and contradictions and cannot be transformed overnight. However, we can help raise the spiritual vibrations around us step by step. As the new age dawns and the light increases day by day, it will become easier for us to see the result. Our organization is a spiritual movement of action. Through action, we can attain our spiritual growth most effectively. How far have we spiritually progressed? Some have made progress. Some may even have regressed. We need to be aware of our own position in the whole and our relationship with the people with whom we come in contact and try to fulfill our duty and responsibility. Let's try to realize fully our responsibility as husbands, wives, parents, or children, and find out whether we are fulfilling our duties daily, and whether we do so with genuine love and understanding. To reflect on our attitude as employer or employee, and pray that we may pour our love into our work and the people with whom we work. It is good to ask ourselves every once in a while, am I filling my position to the best of my ability? Am I making the people around me happy? Is my heart filled with love for everyone, even people who criticize me? It's not an easy matter to understand those around us, especially when they are not well disposed toward us. Perhaps they have family purification or financial purification, which weighs heavily on their mind. Maybe they have some physical trouble, even though they are not aware of it. Let us realize every one of us makes mistakes. The moment we forget to be humble and start criticizing others, thinking we know better, we open ourselves to dark forces and we begin to think negatively. If someone makes you angry, stop and reflect and pray for strength and guidance. Wait just a minute before answering back. Close your eyes and pray. Meishu-sama often told us that if we would put ourselves in the other person's position, we would understand him or her better. In this manner, we can approach people with understanding, love, and tolerance, and thus help them a great deal. In the case of someone who is truly destructive, we must realize that there is some reason for it in the plan of God. What we can do is pray and wait patiently for the solution of the problem while working constructively. The high vibrations of love and constructive thought may gradually dispel the clouds, and the problem will be solved in time. We have experienced this to be true in many cases. Whether or not the world can be saved during the great general purification, which is soon to occur, depends on the number of people who work constructively and harmoniously and actually live their faith. Every one of us is needed at this time of unprecedented purification. If we think and work constructively, we can be effective instruments in fulfilling God's plan. From now on, at the beginning of each month, let us reflect upon our weak points, which hinder our spiritual progress, and how we can mend our ways in accordance with the cosmic law. At the end of the year, we will see the aggregate of our efforts, and we'll surely find reason to be happy for the accomplishments we have attained. This was a very wonderful message by Reverend Kyoko Higuchi. I want to thank you very much for listening to these words and wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.
This brings to a conclusion of our morning service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed day.